This week's story is one that left a little kiss in Kimberley's heart. A story about a possum, two boys, and two perspectives. Hi everyone, I'm Anya.
And I'm Kimberley.
And this is Flawed, authentic stories from the nest floor.
I love telling this story because it absolutely shows the difference between children and their contexts. Now this was amazing. Honestly, this was probably about a year ago. It could actually have been 2 years ago, but it was one of those stories that left a little kiss in my heart. So I've got to share it. So just imagine two boys. One little boy had just arrived at the nest. Now he always travelled to the nest on his bike with his mum. And they travelled across a pretty main road bridge. He arrived this day not looking his normal chirpy self. Actually, he was pretty tearful. We could tell very quickly that something wasn't right. So I said to him, "Hey buddy," I said, you're not looking your normal chirpy self. What's going on?" And he told us that Possy had died. And I thought it must have been one of his pets. But Possy was a possum that had been run over on the bridge. He was devastated, so devastated, that him and his mum had actually stopped and they'd actually said like a little blessing. They'd sent a love bubble to the possum on the bridge. That wasn't quite enough for him. He said, "Oh mum, we need to get a little bunch of flowers." So his mum is the most sensitive soul. They went off, they picked some little wildflowers and they popped it on top of the possum on the bridge. So when he arrived, he was full of his stories about Possy. He was telling everyone. And then one of his mates turned up. Now, a very different character. He is definitely an animal advocate, but he's also not one for pests. So he was very quick to say, "Oh, for goodness sake," he said, "those possums, they should be dead. Thank goodness you saw it on the road dead." Now, isn't it interesting? Two boys, one sees all creatures in the same, like life and death. The other one sees this creature nothing more than a pest. He said, "I'm going to be a dock ranger. And when I'm a dock ranger, one of the first things I'll be doing is eradicating these terrible pests like rabbits and possums." The little boy, who was devastated, spent most of his day writing little messages, drawing little pictures, and making little creations, so that on the way home from the nest, they did yet another wee delivery to Possy. The other little boy went straight out to the forest and started with his imaginative play at what would happen when he became the mighty dock ranger.
The Flawed podcast music is by Camille van Schoonhoven. You can find us on hartschool.nz and kimberleycrisp.com.